Ever feel like we're on the edge of something massive, something that could rewrite the rules of the game?
Yeah, totally.
Well, today's deep dive is all about that feeling, about AI's potential to reshape the world. And no, not robots taking over, but something far more optimistic. We're diving into Dario Amodei's vision.
Yo, I like where this is going.
Yeah, where AI isn't the villain, but the hero. You might know Amodei as that AI safety researcher, the CEO of Anthropic.
Right, right.
But what's really got me thinking is his belief that we're totally missing how good AI could be. If, and it's a big if, we get it right.
He really makes you think differently about this whole AI thing.
Yeah.
He asks us to, picture 1,000,000 Nobel Prize winners.
1,000,000?
Yeah, all working together inside a computer at digital speed. Not over years, but instantly.
Right.
That's the level of brain power we could be talking about.
Okay, so 1,000,000 geniuses on call 247. That sounds like instant utopia, doesn't it? Cure cancer by Tuesday, fix climate change by Friday.
Well, not quite. And that's where Amodei's idea of marginal returns to intelligence comes in. It's fascinating, really.
Marginal returns to intelligence. Okay, you've definitely got my attention. Break that down for me.
So we tend to think more intelligence equals problem solved instantly.
Right.
Right. But Amodei is saying, hold on, even a superintelligence would be held back by real-world stuff.
Real-world stuff,
Like the speed of experiments, resources, physical limitations.
So even if an AI can design, say, the perfect fusion reactor, actually building it, testing it, that still takes time.
Exactly. Amodei talks about designing materials. Even if AI comes up with a perfect molecular structure, making it, testing it, we're bound by physics and chemistry.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get this marginal returns thing, but where does that leave Amodei's prediction of a compressed 21st century? How can we cram a century's worth of progress into, a few years? If even AI has to wait for a beaker to bubble, isn't that a bottleneck?
And that's the really cool part. It's not just about speed, right? It's about changing how we do science. Amodei is saying AI isn't just a tool, it's like a collaborator, especially in fields like biology.
Biology? Okay, that seems surprisingly specific. Why focus on biology when we're talking AI with this much power?
He makes the case that biology, it's on the verge of some major breakthroughs. But it's so complex, it takes forever to make progress. It's all about designing those experiments, analyzing data, and honestly just connecting the dots.
And AI swoops in with its super-powered pattern recognition, processing massive amounts of data, and suddenly we're talking warp speed biology.
Precisely.
I'm picturing these AI scientists running billions of simulations, seeing patterns we totally miss, maybe even predicting the next blockbuster drug.
And it's not just speed, Amodei's talked about things like protein folding, which is incredibly hard to figure out even with the computers we have now. Imagine what that could mean for diseases, new therapies, the whole 9 yards.
So not just baby steps, but huge leaps forward in human health. I like it. But let's get down to brass tacks. Amodei's making some pretty bold predictions about this whole compressed 21st century thing, especially in biology. What kind of headlines are we talking if his vision pans out?
He's talking about a world where infectious diseases, the ones that have been around forever, they're just gone. Not just managed, but gone, like we did with smallpox.
A world without pandemics. Okay, now you're speaking my language. What about stuff like cancer? That feels like a tougher nut to crack, even for AI.
He knows it's complex, but he thinks AI could make it manageable, even curable. Think about it. AI finding those precancerous cells before they even become tumors, coming up with treatments that are totally personalized, maybe even teaching our bodies to fight cancer on their own.
It's almost hard to imagine, isn't it? Cancer, as rare as polio is now, that's wild.
And it's not just about getting rid of diseases, but actually living longer, healthier lives. Amodei suggests that if we can really understand aging and AI can sift through all that data our bodies make, we might be able to double the average lifespan.
Hold on, double. That's a whole other can of worms. People are already freaking out about retirement. What happens when everyone's living to 150, 200?
Right. It makes you rethink everything. Education, work, retirement, family, the whole shebang. It's a challenge, but it's also this incredible opportunity to build a world that's really focused on, the long game, a world where people come first.
It's a lot to take in. But okay, let's say we figure out aging, we've conquered disease. What about the mind? Can AI help us with the stuff going on up here? Mental illness, just feeling good, all of that.
And that's where Amodei takes us next, the brain. The potential for AI to help us understand this crazy thing inside our heads. If you thought the health stuff was big, this is where it gets really wild.
Okay, hit me with it. What's Amodei see happening with AI in neuroscience?
So Neuroscience. It's still kind of a young field. The brain is just so complex. But he thinks AI might be the key, like it could be with biology.
Okay, but what does that actually look like? I mean, we're talking about the brain, the most complicated thing we know of. What can AI actually do to help us understand it?
Imagine AI going through brain scans, like in ridiculous detail, finding those tiny patterns that might be linked to things like depression, anxiety, schizophrenia. This could mean treatments that are tailored for each person, based on their brain.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach to mental health, we're talking about treatments as unique as the person getting them.
Exactly. And he doesn't stop there. He's talking about a future where AI could help us, like boost our brains, learn faster, focus better, unlock creativity in ways we haven't even thought of.
Okay, now we're getting into, like, sci-fi territory. Upgrading our brains with AI, doesn't that feel a little, I don't know, ethically murky?
Yeah. That's a good point. And that's why we got to have these conversations now while AI is still in its early stages. Amodei is a big believer in making sure we're thinking about the ethics of all this.
That's reassuring. But while we're on the topic of, like, fairness, it makes you think. All this progress, curing diseases, living longer, it could make things even more unequal if we're not careful. What's Amodei's take on that? It's like, we're talking about this amazing future for healthcare, but what if it's only for the people who can already afford the best of everything?
Right. It's a huge question. And Amodei gets that. He's not saying AI is automatically going to make things fair, but he thinks it gives us tools that, if we use them right, could actually level the playing field.
Okay, so less robots take our jobs and more like robots help us build a better world for everyone. I can get behind that. But how do we get there? How do we make sure everyone benefits?
He points to a few things. Like, imagine AI that can predict famines before they happen, using satellite images, data analysis, all that, or making sure aid gets to the people who need it most, no waste.
So instead of just reacting to crises, we're using AI to get ahead of them.
Exactly. And he talks about how AI could be huge for developing countries. Imagine education that's personalized for every single student.
How?
Or AI tools that help small businesses get off the ground.
It's a cool idea. But, you know, it makes you think about those sci-fi movies where the robots get a little too smart. How do we stop that from actually happening?
He talks about this idea of value alignment, making sure from the very beginning that AI is designed with human values in mind.
So it's not just about what AI can do, it's about what it should do.
Exactly. And that's where humans come in. We need everyone, researchers, the government, even just regular people, to make sure AI is developed responsibly.
Makes sense. But even if we do everything right, there's still this big question. What do humans do in a world where AI can do almost everything better and faster?
It's the big one, right. But Amodei is actually pretty optimistic. He thinks AI will automate a lot of jobs, yeah, but that just frees us up to focus on other things, more meaningful stuff.
So less time at a job we hate, more time for passions, for connecting with people, for making a difference.
Exactly. He's saying meaning doesn't come from just working all the time. It comes from being curious, being creative, making the world a better place. AI could help us be more human, not less.
It's definitely a hopeful way to look at it. And honestly, I think we could all use a little hope right now. But it also feels like a challenge. Like, it's on us to make sure AI turns out to be a good thing.
That's Amodei's whole point. The
Yep.
future of AI, it's not decided yet. It's up to us to choose what it looks like.
So for everyone listening, if you've been wondering about AI, if it's something to be afraid of or excited about, I hope this has given you something to think about. The future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we create. And that's a pretty powerful thought to end on, don't you think?